Hello everyone. I'm so excited to do this recording with you. Today we will be talking about next level networking and empowering connection with AI and tools. Just going to stop and make sure everything looks good. So make sure that everybody can hear me okay. Let me know. One moment. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust one thing. Make sure I'm not. One second. Okay, so we'll get started, and hopefully the sound will be okay. I wanted to share with you a little bit more information about networking, and in terms of my professional background, I have been in recruiting for about almost a decade, and besides that, I've also, let me see. We'll get started, and okay, I wanted to share. Okay. Sorry, everyone. I'm working with different software for recording, and let's see what I say. Let's close that. Okay. Apologies. Okay, hopefully that can make me sound okay and you can hear me in one place. Thanks for your patience as I'm playing around with different areas. But let's get jumping into the content. As I was mentioning, my name is Anya Smith, and I have been in recruiting for almost a decade. And beyond that, I have also taken time to get my MBA and then to get my master's in computer information science and business analytics. And because of that, I wanted to share with you a little bit more information about how to use AI tools and other tools to help when you are networking yourself. And I put the link to the deck and the information about this, but I'm also going to share my screen, and I'm going to start doing that right now. One moment. Okay. I'm going to make this a lot bigger so everybody can see. It's just me, or I can't really hear it now. Cuts in and out. Okay. I'm going to play around with that. I have the microphone, and if... Okay, let's... Thank you for checking. I'm checking your feedback. Okay. Can you hear me a little bit better right now? Can't wait to watch this. Currently traveling. So you're looking really interesting. Sign up. Okay. Isaac, is that a little bit better? Miguel? I'm looking at your comments right now as they're coming in, so thank you for sharing those. Okay. See, for anybody watching, can you hear me a little better right now? Okay, much better. Awesome. Thanks, Isaac. I appreciate you giving me the content, keeping it fresh. So, as I mentioned, you can follow along with me just sharing this, and I'm kind of want to show you hands-on how to use tools. So we'll be going to be doing different screens, but I created this to share some of my experience professionally as I network, as I hear a lot of candidates with their challenges around networking, and also I've been playing around with how to use AI and different tools for my networking works. Those learnings with you. So let's dive in, and I'm just going to make this just a little bit bigger just in case anybody has issues seeing this. And again, this deck is shareable and you can review it on your own later. But why is networking important? I'm sure you're here because you find it important and want to grow in this space. But some of the things that I want to highlight is, again, building community. No matter what you're doing professionally, your network will help you and be a resource, whether it's you seeking advice or mentorship, other opportunities. I know that right now there's a challenging job search, and if you've seen other people talk about successful ways they found jobs, I think a lot of times we see the example of people finding referrals and opportunities that way. And then I always love the opportunities that come around through your network. Somebody might be working with something new. Maybe you touch base with somebody as you were working with them on a certain company, and maybe you go a couple of years without being in touch with them, but then something new happens and they think of you for another opportunity. Or maybe you really want to go beyond your current connection. So say day to day you interact with the same people, but you want to learn about a new space or a new job or like anything else. You get that thought leadership or ideas from other areas. Networking is a great way to do that. And now there are all the resources to hear and connect with people around the world, whether it be a LinkedIn like what you're doing right now here, perhaps, or if you want to take the time and go into network in person, that's also great. But really, there are no limits right now. There are people all around the world who can share their experience and connect with you. And personally, I find you can also grow a lot. There's obviously a lot of wisdom and not and other information out there, so it's for you to discern. But those are some things that I want to highlight for networking benefits. And we'll dive into the tools here shortly, but I want to talk about some of the blockers for networking that come to mind in some ways to help. So one thing that people can think is like, hey, networking, I get that that's important, but that seems like a lot of time that I need to spend and prepare, and kind of, is that really worth it? And in this virtual environment and with the tools that we're going to dive into here, I want to show you how to hopefully simplify that concern and make this whole process a little bit easy, give you some quick tips on how to customize information so that when you do reach out to somebody, it feels like personal and it still aligns to your own value proposition and brand. And I would argue that the time that you spend to create or focus on this area can reap a lot of rewards down the line. And not that everybody you reach out to is going to be like this, life-changing connection, but I'm sure the good things are going to be ahead if you develop this strategy and kind of grow your network, especially in areas that you are excited about and you want to grow into. And the other thing I want to highlight is social anxiety. I don't always enjoy meeting new people, and online it could be even more challenging because you don't know where the other person is coming from. It seems to be a little bit less personal. But I think that the key here is just remembering that people are people. And the more I am around people who are maybe doing entrepreneurial work, or the more I engage with people at senior levels or go through different opportunities where I network with people, again, more senior through like board work, you just realize people are people. And we forget that sometimes, and kind of this sense like this person is like higher above me or they're there. But for the most part, they have the same troubles, like, right? They have their own challenges, their own things that make them happy, but they're all humans. And so just remembering that, reaching out to the people with the authentic desire to connect, to see them as human, will be really helpful as you think about your approach. And then we'll talk about also how to build confidence. What I think makes me feel confident is that when I have like my idea and I feel like I've made it as clear as possible about what I'm asking from the other person, and then can I create things around my brand or how I'm presenting myself that make me feel more confident when I reach out, because that's what people will see and that's what people will resonate with if they don't know me personally. So we'll touch on that. And then the other thing is like, well, what do I do? There's so many people, I'm not sure what goal to start with. And this is probably the part that'll take some time, but also it doesn't have to be fully defined. So you can start with saying, hey, what do I want to do right now? Maybe it's, again, I'm in the job search and I want to connect with people in this space. Or maybe you're looking to change careers, right? And you want to find a couple of people who might be able to give you some more advice about, the area or the company that you want to go to. Again, this is a time where you have to reflect on what do you want to get out of these connections, like what would be the most value to right now. And it could be like starting like, hey, I just want to get information, right? How that strategy kind of unfold, and as you connect with people, you can see like, how does this request help you? Was it beneficial? Did you get the information you thought? And then it usually will spur more ideas for how to connect and build value from there on. And you'll find different things that work for you, and maybe you'll find that maybe it's not LinkedIn, maybe it's other avenues where you want to connect with people in different ways. But getting clear on the goals will also help with that previous point of building confidence. Another thing, as I mentioned, you might be like thinking, well, I have limited connections. What do I do then? What I have found also as a recruiter or just somebody professional, most people will be happy to help you, right? So if you send them, if you connect with them, or even ask for people to connect you if you don't have another way to connect them, but most people will be happy to connect you. Like, think about crafting like a 5-minute ask. If that's all you really need, make your ask as clear as possible. So don't reach out to somebody and say, hey, I need a million things, or couldn't you help me? And have like a very general statement. It makes it very hard for the other person to figure out what to do for you. But make it very specific, like, hey, maybe it's going to your network and saying to each individual person, can you write me a recommendation about this area of expertise, right? Or, hey, I'm looking to build this business. Can I share my pitch with you to get feedback? Right, so this is also where if you have limited connections, you can think about what people do you want to connect with that will help you, and get very clear what you're asking them to do, and that will, in time, will kind of grow the connections in the areas that you want. Easier for you, or you're hesitating, like, find if there are like middle people, right, whether it's friends or colleagues or the next, like, hey, I've been really curious to meet this person, could you help me with an introduction? And again, most people will be happy to make a 5-minute ask. But the other thing I want to share is that some people won't want to help you, right? Or they don't reply. They're like, somebody didn't reply to me. That feels so uncomfortable. But I want to share from my personal experience, most times people aren't rejecting you. Maybe it feels that way, or they're not trying to get some personal reaction out of you in their behavior, but maybe they're just busy, right? It shocks me and makes me a little sad when people make one message and somebody doesn't reply to them and they don't even give it another go, right? Maybe somebody missed their message. Maybe they saw it and they just forgot. Like, how many times does that happen to you when you see a message and you scroll away and you just forget to get back? So if this is somebody you do want to connect with and maybe you didn't get a reply, maybe give it at least one more go, or see if they maybe have an email somewhere, try a different method. So at least, like, don't give up with one go, like, give it another go. People are busy, and if you also approach it in just like a very sincere, kind, and thoughtful way, most people will react and try to help you. And if someone doesn't, there are a billion other people, right? Find the person that's going to support you and help you. So there's a little bit of a numbers element to that. So that's a little bit of the soft skill side. But what is AI? I think most of you have heard about it if you're here. So artificial intelligence is technology that helps simulate human behavior. And how generative AI works is that it's trained on a lot of information. And what it does is it uses statistical probability to guess what is the most likely next thing that you want it to do, right? So if you have a sentence, it will guess the next word based on the context that you give it. So the key here is to understand that the information that you feed into whatever you create is going to dictate the quality of the output. So it's not going to be like, oh, it's so brilliant, it helps me solve all my problems, but it's really, I'm going to test out a tool, I'm going to play around with it, I'm going to train it a bit and get more information that way. And we'll jump into those here shortly. So I'll share some tools that I use that help with networking, but they can also kind of help streamline your processes. And specifically, we'll look at tools like ChatGPT, Gamma app, which I really enjoy. This is the app that actually created this whole presentation. And then talk about like streamlining your processes with tools like Calendly. And then if you are considering, building a brand, or that's something of interest to you, which I would suggest considering at the very least, if you want to network and kind of present that personal brand, there are very easy things you can do on a low budget or whatever budget you have to create professional kind of branding for yourself. And I think it's relevant to any person, no matter what their goal is. So let's just go through this little step process and we'll actually look into the tools together. And feel free to ask me questions along the way and give me comments. I'm following you. So Jessica, thank you. Isaac, Miguel, Ricky. So in terms of step one, again, define your goal and do research. So maybe what we start out with is we go to ChatGPT, or our friendly ChatGPT. And something that might be helpful, and let's expand this so you can see it a little bit better. And let's make this bigger. Let's make this bigger. Okay, and we'll make this a little bigger. So what you can play around is like, hey, I don't know where to start, right? So let's just show how easy it is to use ChatGPT to maybe start your resume, to give you some ideas like, hey, what is my niche? What could I specialize in, right? So maybe I open ChatGPT. Each chat is going to be kind of its unique training element. So if you find that you're kind of getting in a rabbit hole and you don't like the responses, you could create a new chat and that will kind of be a fresh start to your work here. And ChatGPT is something you can Google to get a free account for. I'll show you a quick way to also use ChatGPT 4 powered engine for free as well in Bing. So here's my resume, for example. And something like you can do easily with ChatGPT is you can just copy and paste your resume into a feed and say, hey, can you look at my resume, and don't mind my spelling, that's the nice thing I like about ChatGPT is it doesn't care, and say, hey, can you help me identify, my unique value proposition from this resume? Okay. Identify my unique value proposition from, from my resume. And I just copy and paste it. So just as simple as that, and I type search, and it will start generating a response for you at the bottom. And you can stop at any point if you want. But you can see it will start giving you ideas. And let me see if you're seeing that. So you can see like how it starts giving you kind of a summary of what you want. And this is probably going to be long. This is not your ideal version yet, but I just want you to see how easy it is to start going from here to here, right? And say like, hey, can you make it one page, right? Or one paragraph, whatever size you want, right? You can make it shorter, you can make it longer. You can say like, hey, can you customize it to this area? But I'm just going to stop for the sake of that. Let's say, can you recommend some areas of focus? Can you recommend like what roles can I apply in? What role apply for resume? So like in here, we're doing research, right? So the focus is like, can I understand what areas would align to different roles? So ChatGPT can be a really good tool to easily start thinking about, hey, what areas could I see my resume being relevant for? And when you use this tool, you can see like, it's easy to start customizing, creating unique content, right? So you can say like, hey, I create 4 resumes that are aligned to these maybe different areas, or 5, or however many areas. So and when you are on the job hunt, you have kind of a story of each resume that highlights a specific area. So let's take this now to networking example and say like, hey, this is all great. Can you help me create, say, a networking request to set up an advisory call? And so let's see what the tool will create for us when we ask that. So help create a message asking someone to network that highlights my unique value. My value. So we just said, hey, can you create a message that asks somebody to network and highlights my unique value? And it will do that for you, right? Again, you will play around it so you can make it shorter. It maybe seem a little bit too long and redundant, but with the time and effort, like this will get you something that hopefully feels good. And what I love about ChatGPT is that when you're maybe sometimes you don't want to think about different ideas, or you don't want to polish everything, you just want to maybe start with a brain dump and kind of build the idea from there. This tool is really helpful for doing that. So let's take that a next step further, right? So now we have kind of, in the sense of what is our unique value. And the next thing we can do, we'll kind of jump to that. Maybe I'll show another example. So next thing, maybe we're going on LinkedIn and we find somebody that we want to reach out to. And so let's just go to a live example and show what you could potentially do or kind of start thinking about. So say you're here on LinkedIn. And we're just gonna choose Alex because he's the first person on the screen. And say, I want to connect with this person, and I'm not saying, overuse this, but use it with common sense, right? But if you want to maybe find a way to connect with a person, maybe you look at actually, this is not a great example, but maybe you find some information around them, and maybe I'll find somebody just for ease in the example, and you can take it from there. So it has a little bit more of an about section with them. So let's see, this talk I have. Thank you, everybody shown, for being my example today. About. Okay, but sure, whatever their about is, right? Or you can include more information about them, but I'm just showing this, for example, like what is the ease of this information? Maybe you can find information about the person you want to invite, and can you create a message for Talha, showing my interest in his experience related to, and I'm just copying and pasting his thing and highlight my unique skills. Okay. And this is just as easy as it could be, right? If you ever like, hey, I just want to start thinking about how to connect with somebody, again, you probably wouldn't want to send something quite this long, but you can use LinkedIn, you can use ChatGPT to craft a little message. You can craft some messages that make you feel confident. Again, the key is finding your value proposition, and ChatGPT can help you start thinking about that. And this is an easy way to start that. So again, you can use LinkedIn, find a little bit more information about that person, right? You can summarize it in writing or maybe copy and paste some of the information you find on their LinkedIn profile, and then use this to maybe craft that pitch that you want to send. So you can see how easy this is, and ChatGPT has extensions to your mobile and also your iPad. So if you're on the go and you want to craft a message, it's also easy to go ahead and do it that way too. So we went from that point. So now we feel like, hey, I have a value proposition. I can see how it's easy to customize a message. But let's think about other things that you could do that are very easy to also build on this whole like message and kind of showcase yourself. Because unless you're in person, which I think more and more people are virtually networking, there's some things you can do. So I highlighted 3 of them, and all of them are linked. So one, if you're looking for, maybe you have a stellar professional headshot, which is fantastic, but as a mom and working remotely, it's hard for me to get away, and I honestly don't enjoy taking pictures either. So if you're interested, I played around with this tool called Dreamweave, and I actually have it open here. And I think it's for $40. You can get like 40 pictures that are AI generated. So I had fun with that. And actually, my profile pictures are AI generated on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for something that you can add to your profile very easy, I would definitely recommend a tool, not necessarily even this one, but if you want to try it out, great. But there's other AI options. So just one idea to explore there. The other thing, and then we're going to go with this one. I'm going to go back to here. The other thing is a really popular tool. If you have ever worked in kind of creator with Canva, is super duper popular, and it's an easy way to kind of create content that again makes it seem like very personal and professional. And if you ever like worked on Instagram and you use your filters, it's pretty much as easy as that. And you can get a free version of Canva, I think for like 2 months or something, some extensive period, where you can do a lot of editing. So here, for example, you can see something that I did just for myself for the backdrop of my LinkedIn. And again, you can do, I mean, you don't have to do this, but I think that in this environment, there's a lot of people, if you can create something that stands out and shows kind of your expertise and your style, it doesn't hurt, right? So if you see on the left, there's a lot of templates you can play around with. And let's just say we're gonna have a new one and we're gonna put something like that. Again, it can start for free. You can put in your picture in here. And what's cool is you can also remove your background on your picture, so you can move things around. So if you ever wanted to, again, create any kind of marketing for yourself, create those beautiful backdrops for yourself, it's very easy to do, and it can be very affordable. So again, these are just some tips that I think are helpful for brands, because there's so many people out there, and I want to encourage people to think about ways to stand out beyond their resume. And the third thing I'll show really quickly is also, if you've ever been curious even about creating a personal like portfolio site, it is so easy to do nowadays. You don't have to have any coding experience whatsoever. And I just wanted to show you how easy it could be. So here's my site. There's a site called Wix. And it doesn't have to be this. I'm not saying like you have to use one particular product, but just thinking about it. And it also allows you to kind of have a constructor theme to your website. And so it allows you to create parts of it like piece by piece, and you can have one specifically that's your portfolio. And there's a lot of tutorials that have to do with this. So I'll just show you how easy it is to play around with something like this. And again, you can create your personal site. And what's cool about that is that besides maybe sharing your resume or whatever, like that one piece of information you want to share with your network, you can create other content that you own, right? Maybe you create a video about your expertise in something, right? Maybe again, you showcase your professional projects there, right? But have something that goes beyond your resume. And here you can just play around with some of these areas. You can add elements to it. It's pretty much like a drag and drop. You can add sections to it. So if you play around. So I'm not going to go into too much depth, but the point is like there are a lot of tools right now which allow you to create very customizable kind of information, drag and drop. There's a lot of media and other tools. You can add sections in here. So very, very easy. So if you ever thought about creating a web page or are curious, I definitely recommend it. There's a lot of resources around that, and they're pretty affordable. Like, so you can start and maybe even try it out for like a month or two on your job search, just to have something else that you want to try out. If you want any more information about this, just let me know, but just want to share that as an option. So now you have like this professional portfolio. You went to Canva, maybe you created your banner, you got your professional photo shoot, you have your professional website, and now what you can do is you can also use ChatGPT, of course, to kind of create your pitch, right? So whenever I'm working on something like this, I may be thinking, okay, I have an idea, but how can I customize it, right? Maybe it's saying like, using ChatGPT to give you some ideas. So maybe say, can you suggest, can suggest 5 slogans for my personal brand. So if you want to get creative with it, ChatGPT can help you with some of those things that you want for your website. Like, so when you're creating something, it may seem overwhelming because you're like, oh, I have to come up with so much stuff, so much content. It has to be catchy and interesting. But ChatGPT also has you covered. You can work with it to get some ideas. It can give you ideas on slogans. It can give you feedback. You can spell check things very quickly. So just another use for that. And another thing, which I'm using right in front of you, is this Gamma app. And we'll look at that here in a second. If anybody has any suggestions for a topic, I can show you how easy it is to, and I'm just going to sign in here very quickly. One moment, I'm just going to use this. I'm just going to carry this over here. I'm going to just sign into my ChatGPT, into my Gamma, so you can see how easy it is to create a your own personal deck. And what I think is cool about this is that you can create this for like a pitch, right? Or maybe you want to share some information of somebody else. Maybe you do it for your work, right? But there are a lot of utilities for that. Or maybe instead of just your resume, you want to create like this really beautiful pitch deck that you can share with your hiring manager, somebody else, instead of creating a portfolio website. And this can just take you minutes, and it can look so professional to do. So I'm going to share that with you. Okay. So what's cool about Gamma is also it's a free site, and you can get like some credits on it to begin with. So you're using that when you create something. But then if you refer somebody to it, you can get more credits. And then obviously there's a paid version of this. This is all of the original ChatGPT. Yes, Earl, that is all of the original ChatGPT, and I'll show you shortly how to get a free equivalent of ChatGPT 4 here in a second. So we'll do that here shortly. So first, let's just jump into this Gamma app, right? And then we're going to make this bigger so you can see. So just here are some things that I have done with it. But let's just create a new deck, and I just want you to see how easy it is to create this. So let's create a deck. Let's do a presentation, what everybody loves to do. Does anybody have any ideas on presentation topic? If you have one, please share. I'd love to see your ideas. Let's go with, let's see, let's do how to network. If we are on this topic right now, pro tips for networking. Let's do pro tips for networking. Pro tips for networking. Okay. So here we are. We chose a topic for this, and it could be a lot of things, right? You can use this for collaboration, whatever you want. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to create something like this. And so it'll give you some suggestions, and you can obviously improve on those. False. And then we say continue, and then you get to choose like what is your look that you want. We'll say surprise me for this one, and then you continue. And then I just want you to see how easy it is with AI to create something like this. Like, to me, that warms my heart to see how beautiful and easy something like this can be. Obviously with AI, what you put into it, like what you get out of it, is something that looks credible, but you always want to double check that it actually makes sense. So it's not to say this is going to be the final product that you create, but I hope you get the idea of like just how easy, like I'm not typing anything. This is all being generated from the initial idea. And You can see how this could be used for, again, maybe sharing your expertise with somebody. Maybe you want to do a pitch deck. Maybe you want to do a networking deck where you talk about your value proposition, whatever it is. Like something like this looks very professional. It's very easy to customize. And then you can work on it slide by slide to make it perfect, right? You can also go in and just edit it, adjust the videos, adjust the photos in there, and then share it very easily with others. So very cool tool. Again, I have the link to it. It's Gamma app. It's also in our presentation, which we talked about right here. So close this out. So here it is, creating all of this for you. Just beautiful. There we go. Oh, keeps going more. Again, all of the links are going to be in here. Creating your pitch deck, AI tools, Gamma app is right here. So something I've really enjoyed, if you want to create a really quick pitch deck, it's creating it for you. And then you have this beautiful presentation that you can present with others. Again, you can choose your theme. You can choose like, hey, I want to do a different image. I think it's pretty easy, right? Sometimes it is a little frustrating. Like when you use the AI tool again, like it will work on one slide at a time. So there are some limitations, but it's definitely propelled me in my presentation, made it very simple to kind of get an idea out there and make it look pretty. So that is Gamma. I hope that is helpful. So then you have your pitch deck, you have everything ready to go. The final step of networking is, again, make things very easy for people to do when it comes to interacting with you, right? So if you're thinking like, hey, I want to regularly schedule a call with somebody, or maybe like for me, I'm starting a podcast, so I'm thinking about, hey, I need to do a call, I need to do some prep documents, like create those templates and create all those things in your calendar. One easy tool, which I'm sure you've heard of, and maybe you have other great options, which is fantastic, is Calendly. There's free options to that, and basically all it does is that when you send somebody a Calendly link, it will have all the options that are available based on the calendar availability that you synced it with and the parameters that you gave them. So instead of going back and forth and saying, okay, well, do you have this time? Do you have this time available? Like if somebody you don't know who maybe is already kind of not sure how to help you, make it very easy for them to connect with you. So use tools like Calendly to make your process very streamlined and efficient. So that way they're like, okay, perfect. I know why this person is reaching out to me, why there's a unique value. Use ChatGPT to help you define that. They see your brand that you created with maybe in Canva or the AI photo generator, you create a little portfolio or you use the pitch deck, great. And then to top it off, you have this tool like Calendly or whatever scheduler to makes it very easy for them to say yes, to find a time that works for them and you to connect without any extra hassle. So that way you can move that. So we talked about all of this. I just want to pause and see what questions people have as I'm going to wrap up. So again, I hope this helps you feel more empowered to network. And obviously there's other great utility of this app too, of all these apps too. And I hope you see like with AI, there's so much possibility, right? It's always fun to see like what's relevant. To be frank, a lot of things are, there's a lot of things out in the world, and I don't think all of them is going to be helpful for your need, but just keeping the ear out and trying things that do sound interesting will help you. And I know I mentioned this earlier and I kind of stepped away from it, but there is a way to get free ChatGPT 4. And that is if you go to, if you download Microsoft Edge, which I'm a Chrome user, not that it's just more of force of habit at this point, but when you do download Microsoft Edge, their Bing Assistant is powered by ChatGPT 4. And so if you want to use ChatGPT 4 for free in this format, you can do that too. And here it has, again, the chat feature. It has the ability to kind of balance your conversation. So do you want it to be more creative? Do you want it to be more logical and precise? You can also use it for, again, your creative content, like if you want to create a blog post, right, or paragraph. So for whatever reason, I just find ChatGPT just very easy, like a chat-like to navigate. But I do think that this also provides really cool output if with ChatGPT 4. So again, if you just download Edge, it has this built-in Bing assistant that's powered by ChatGPT 4, and you can say, "Hey, let's do creative tips for networking. What are your top tips for networking?" And don't mind misspelling. I'm just gonna make it easy. Top tips for networking. Yeah, Gamma is a very cool app. Absolutely. Definitely give it a try. I find it super useful. I want to have their, it was recently started, so it's actually pretty new and out there, and I want to have their owner or co-founder on in my podcast. So I'm hoping he joins here and talk about that. So you can see just as easy. So Bing, you can use it as part of your browser if that experience is interesting to you, and it'll also generate information for you. And you can compose and use it in that format with a little bit more tone variety. But you can do a lot of the same stuff in ChatGPT as well. So you can say, can you be more formal? Can you have like a funny tone to it? So that's really it, everyone. I'll stop sharing. Okay. Really useful. Thank you, Earl. Appreciate it. Gonna check it out. Thank you, Miguel. If there's any other questions, this is it. Thank you so much. I'm looking to create more content that just helps me, well, has me explore different tools and showcase different scenarios and dives into different options. So if you have any tools that you see like, oh, this would be really cool, or I want to find a new use case for this problem that I'm having, excuse me, let me know, and I'll be happy to explore that and share that with you. So thanks so much for your time. I'll just be here for a couple more minutes to see if anybody has questions, but that is it. I appreciate you. And check out more learnings. I'll be coming in weekly. Can you link or integrate any of the apps you showed? Yes, so all of the apps are linked in the presentation, so I'll just share that again. So here we go. All the apps are in our presentation. So if you look at this stepped approach, all the apps are linked here in one. And this deck is also linked in the video, in the LinkedIn. For LinkedIn, in this presentation, in the About section of this training. So I linked it there too. So we have this, hopefully it doesn't create an audio issue. But if you go to details, this is the link to the presentation deck right here. So you will find, if you click on there, it'll have all this Gamma and other link information here. And again, it's just Gamma app and very easy to check out. Great, thank you. Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you. I hope this was helpful. I really enjoy sharing this, kind of how easy it is to use these tools for networking and other purposes. So I hope it gets your wheels spinning on other things that could help you out. Thank you, Erin. Bye, everyone.